Hi, George Swigert here from nomoreinformants.com. A few folks on the blog asked me to put together a matrix of what the disposition matrix looks like. This is the U.S. Federal law enforcement organization's plan for every person in the United States and how to deal with them, all the way from target lists down to targeting them for harassment campaigns. And it looks something like this. You can Google disposition matrix, it's on Wikipedia. But here's kind of a schematic of the 300 million citizens in the United States. There's various organizations that are in charge of putting together watch lists or targets. Fusion centers, sometimes Neighborhood Watch, organizations like InfraGard, which are very patriotic people, but meetings are held to talk about how power plants and water treatment plants could be poisoned, and just basically creating a lot of fear. So what comes out of this is a suspect list. And there's our friends right now coming by and adding a little background music to our thing here. Anyway, it comes down to this target list here. And Snowden, in his release, had 7,500 names. We don't really know if these are just high-level targets or they could be more what they call deep dive targets. But once you get to this list of targets, that's really where the law enforcement agencies take over to decide on, how are we going to dispose of the people on this list. Now, sometimes people will just be watched on this list. Sometimes they're going to be targeted for harassment. But you see FBI, CIA, DEF, ATF, the United States Secret Service, and many others. There's about 100 different federal law enforcement agencies, believe it or not, including folks like the Park Service, and then a lot of different people that groups that you think would never have an enforcement capability, but they all can basically create this list down here, which is harassment targets. Harassment targets. This isn't a fun program. This is a COINTEL type program. And these 1,000 to 5,000 people, this ends in death. There's been a lot of famous people that have been victims of this program. It started originally with paid informants. There's 10 times as many more informants now than there was during the Vietnam War. That was in 2008 when the FBI last reported how many informants it had. But the huge growth is over here in volunteer informants. People who have been kind of tricked in a way into thinking that they're doing the right thing for their neighborhood or doing the right thing for their community. A lot of times the folks that are first responders, thinking that they're protecting their community. Basically, these folks can just say, we have a person of interest, we'd like you to do various things to harass them with various activities, and they give them a list of activities that they can provide. But that's it. Pretty much that is the disposition matrix. It's not just for foreign terrorists anymore. It's for U.S. citizens. And the sad part about this whole situation is the targeting has moved more and more and more since 2001 away from actually criminals toward innocent people. And I can talk about that in a later video about confiscation and how and informants making commissions and how that skewed the incentives for the law enforcement.